going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Hangin with Matty D. We are here on this Thursday night trying to stay cool. I have an adventure man in the house tonight. I think is the best word to describe him. Before we came out here tonight, he took me for a ride in his. Is it a slingshot?
Yeah, Polaris.
Polaris slingshot around the block, and we fucking did a couple peel outs and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. I've never been in one of those before. But we got Huck Macy here from Wave Rider Tours and what was it? SoCal Slingshot Adventures. So you book adventures, but Huck, we'll get into that. Thanks for coming and doing this with us tonight, man.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it, dude. Yeah. So I'm gonna go first. I mean, we talked a little bit about it before, but where are you from?
Yeah, more or less the state of Maine. But grew up some in the Caribbean, grew up a few years in Venezuela, adventuring down there since a kid. My mom took us all over the world as a photographer, so lots of good experiences that I'm, turning into a career with Wave Rider Helicopter Tours here. SoCal's Slingshot Adventures is what we're bringing online right now to really showcase California and SoCal at its greatest.
I mean, those vehicles are... if you guys don't know what they are, they're the things that have, like, the third wheel in the back with... They have the third wheel in the back, two in the front, automatic.
Badass Batmobile is kind of what it really looks like. Three-wheel roadster. They got some serious power and some serious mean looks. It's a showstopper. Everyone practically drops their jaw and comes running over to see these machines, and driving them is a heck of a lot of fun. I'm impressed and can't wait to let some other folks get behind the wheel and rip it up.
It's going to be fun, man. I mean, I had a fun time. I think it's going to definitely work out for you, especially with you guys are up in Oceanside. For heroes, if you don't know that's about what, not even 40, like 30 minutes from here about. But if you just take one of those out in the one and just cruise sunset.
So gorgeous. Such an experience. Open air. You're feeling the air.
Yeah.
And you don't need a motorcycle license to drive these things. You're cruising.
Well, I think that's what makes it so easy for them to rent too.
Right.
Yeah. You got to make sure people can drive a manual though.
That's the tricky part. Better than needing a motorcycle license.
Are they all manual?
They're all manual. Yep, manual 5 speeds. Nice. They got a reverse, backup cam, and the shifting and the gears are easy. It's not some you're not going to feel like you're going to roll back down the hill. It's geared nicely and can really take off. It's got a carbon fiber reinforced belt.
Yeah,
these things want to rip in every gear.
It feels nice. Just like it feels solid. Doesn't feel like how some people make stuff like that and it feels rinky-dink or it doesn't feel like an actual machine. This actually feels like it was well built and made for its purpose, and you have a solid piece of material. I mean, Polaris is they're known for quads and those, I don't know what they call those, like buggies or something like that.
Rangers. Some people call them Gators, but Polaris is really known for their Rangers are even more versatile than some of the Gators. And then the side-by-side Razors, Polaris is basically the industry leader and the creator of this Razor side-by-side, 2 cockpits. I mean, they seat like 6 people these days and stuff and shred the desert. So what's so cool is, Wave Rider Helicopter Tours, we just got our charter license. We're chopping people out to the desert now to shred it up with Polaris Razors in the most beautiful, destitute desert-looking
How long's that
landscapes.
Ride?
It's outrageous. The ride in a car is 2 to 3 hours. And
for the helicopter.
For the charter helicopter, we're going to get there in like 35 minutes or something like that. And, Helipad already at right by your Rangers. Get out of the helicopter, throw your helmet, your goggles on, and you're going to shred the desert. And we can film you with a helicopter as you're
I gotta hook you guys up with my so I have this buddy Chris Waters, and he books these just outrageous adventures for people where you get a knock on your door, and I talk about him on every podcast. He's one of the greatest people I've ever met. But they knock on your door and they just hand you a chest, and you go on an adventure the whole day. But he goes on helicopter rides. But I'll definitely give you his information to get in touch with him because that would be even just driving in those things, and you'd have to find the keys and just pull it out.
So cool.
That'd be. I was thinking about that when we were driving. I was like, I gotta mention Chris because Chris is definitely a fucking solid dude.
I love that.
So you said your mom was a photographer?
Yeah.
So what was that like growing up?
I mean, it was phenomenal. And what was cool is because my dad was seafood business. We traveled around the world, grew up around the world. My mom was just raised all of us kids, and at the same time she's a professional level photographer, winning competitions, doing all kinds of alternative processes, and at the same time we're going Patagonia magazine because we're in Venezuela jumping off cliffs in our Patagonia shorts as like blonde children.
And you were in the magazine?
Yeah, yeah. And so grew up behind the lens and loving it all and seeing my mom's bromoiling and gold leaf and wax, all kinds of different photography processes. And it wasn't until I really started to get into helicopter tours. I've got a helicopter tour business in Maine still, and needing to deliver higher quality photographs to my audiences, did I really get into photography. I think I'm taking killer pictures, and it's my mom has really influenced me a lot growing up around the world. Being behind the lens and now, in front of the lens and now behind the lens, I've got a lot up on my experience.
Photography is it's just one of those things that fascinates me because people can take anything and make it, I guess, look interesting in a way, just from the shot. Like, I know my one buddy who's been on here, he does photography on the side, but he's just started taking long exposure shots and just putting them up, and they're like awesome. They're like beautiful. And then I watched that the documentary on Netflix about the photographers and how they go through all these different lengths to, like, the one guy went, I forget where it was, but he watched the whales migrate, and he had this, it's like a 2-year wait list. I had a guy that I used to work with.
Give me the chills. It sounds epic beyond belief.
You just drop off the back of the boat, and he's there with his camera, and you're an ant compared to these massive whales swimming in the ocean, and he's just, it's the, if you ever get, I forget what it's called. I think it's called like A Touch of Light or something like that on Netflix. But it's like 6 different photographers. There's 2 seasons of it, and they just fuck, dude. It's
majestic.
Really, yeah, it is. And then there's one where they go to South America, and this girl is she's swimming up, but they had to get the light right of her shining down, so they had to shoot at the right time of day, and she's swimming. It's just the pictures they take. It's what goes into getting that one shot and the perfection. Because you and I mean, you definitely more than I, but I can look at a good picture and be like, wow, that's a great picture. But I'm sure a photographer looks at it as someone who's skilled in the craft and just being, like, know so much more about the lighting and how they definitely waited till this time to take the picture and do all that. There's so much more that goes into it. It's like phenomenal. Yeah.
Exciting art, totally.
Yeah.
Well said, man.
Are you trying to take it to like a professional level or just a side gig?
I'm proud to say that just 2 days ago I was a first helicopter photographer. I was shooting some real estate photography out, doors off. I'm hanging out the side of the helicopter, shooting 3 properties in Torrey Pines, getting paid. So my photography now is paying me back. Yeah.
So
at Helicopter Huck 4. On Instagram, taking some killer shots and representing a bunch of businesses doing the same stuff.
So, what got you into the helicopters?
I tried to bring helicopter skiing to the United States of America and its East Coast.
Have you done that before?
I've never done it, but I was sick and fucking tired of hiking up the mountains with my damn snowboard on a backpack, being able to take 2 or 3 runs in a day. Shit, can a helicopter just take me up here and I can take 10 runs and not be exhausted?
Is it not offered in the United States?
I said the East Coast.
Okay.
Yeah, nowhere on the East is it offered. And I'm just like, I was a semi-professional snowboarder for a while. Big air competitions, half pipe, border cross was my favorite. Did really well in that. And there's plenty of snow out there. You can take me to the top of a mountain out there on a lot of days. Yeah, it's not Alaska. It's not dumping snow every day. But with my storm chasers, where people are going to be ready when we get a big storm.
Yeah.
We're going to fire up the helicopter right after, and you're going to be on a list. If you can drop work and come out, then let's go and be a pioneer, helicopter skiing in the state of Maine on the East Coast. So I worked with private logging lands, ski mountains, all kinds of stuff. Federal government stopped me one season.
So you were doing it. You started.
I was trying to do it. I partnered with Saddleback Ski Mountain to, just to get going. Giant, one of Maine's biggest, most beautiful ski mountains, powder fields up at the top, great season. It was going into March, finally put all the insurance, everybody, 20 people paid $750 a piece for the day of helicopter assisted skiing as we practiced on a ski mountain with ski patrol before we took it to the real, wildlands and these skidder trails and these clear cuts that I've got identified on all these main mountains. And we were just 2 days from doing it, and the Appalachian Trail Conservancy called me and said, hey, Huck, you know what? I know we gave you permission to land up there, but we just manage the land. The Appalachian Trail runs over the top of the Saddleback, and the federal government actually owns it. We just manage it. We need you to get a permit from them at least 90 days. And this was March 4th. We're supposed to fly in March 7th, and 90 days puts us into fucking summer in Maine.
There's no snow.
So that shot me down. Next year I went to Bethel, right by Sunday River, real glitz and glam, big ski resort in Maine. Worked with Maine's Land Use Committee for Unorganized Territories, using these logger skitterlands to set everything up. Had it all set to jet, and then they were like, okay, now you need a wildlife biologist in studies for a year. There's snowmobiles. There's snowmobiles running through those mountains, tearing up the ground, disturbing all the peace. I want to land a helicopter on a logging, space that's already been cut, and then pick them up at the bottom where it's already been cut. I'm not doing anything to any wildlife or anything. It's under 4 feet of snow. So they blocked me on that, and I was like, screw this. I'm gonna bring people to the vineyards that I planted. I've planted like 50 vineyards around the state of Maine. Work with breweries, wineries. All right, I'm gonna bring helicopters and take people to do wine tastings, go to islands, mountains, lighthouses, and that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years in Maine really successfully, and I'm repeating that as kind of an adventure guide, adventure outfitter now officially under Polaris's wing too, in California with Wave Rider and SoCal Slingshot Adventures.
Nice, man.
Tearing it up.
I mean, what you just said, I got like another 20 minutes conversation. So you're a snowboarder?
Yes.
Where's your favorite?
And skier, yeah.
Okay. Where's your favorite mountain?
My favorite mountain would be my hometown, Camden Snow Bowl. It's the only mountain on the east coast of America that overlooks the ocean. It is beautiful.
Really?
Camden, Maine, where the mountains meet the sea. There's waterfalls, rivers pouring into our harbor, islands and lighthouses.
You can see it all from...
You can see it all from the top of the Camden Snow Bowl. I grew up there teaching lessons, cutting glades, first jump building privileges, starting snowboard teams. It was a mecca of greatness and beauty. I'm 34 years old.
Dude, you've done a lot so far, man. Yeah, that's phenomenal.
So exciting stuff, and
we just went
had
to
a good chance.
My cousins they're big snowboard. I mean, I snow. I've been snowboarding since I was like 8 years old. I'm not like an extremist. I'm just like more of I like to go to the top and come down. I guess you could say, I enjoy it. I'm ready for that 3:30 to start chugging my beers and fucking get it on with. I grew up though where they had night. I grew up snowboarding in New Jersey, so we had like night skiing and all that shit. But we just went. So we've been I've been to Salt Lake. I've been to a bunch of mountains on the West Coast, but we just went to Whistler for the first time. Have you ever been there?
Badass, yeah.
Oh my god, dude! My buddy talked it up so much, and I'm just like, I don't know. Dude, he's like, it's so cheap. It's gonna cost you $450 for the both of you for the fucking 5 days you're there. The flights were like $300 round trip total. And it lived up to the expectation. I mean, the people there, everything, the village, and everything's like 20% off. So it was like you kind of feel like you're getting a deal on everything.
Yeah.
But everybody, the thing that was awesome is nobody's an asshole. I grew up on the East Coast. You grew up a little bit more northeast than I did. But where I grew up, everyone's just like, everyone there's like, what's up, man? You want a beer? Like you can talk to anybody. Everyone's relaxed, and I just like enjoyed that. That was the first ski trip where I really like enjoyed myself. It was phenomenal.
Feels so good.
We went to the that was the first time too I ever heard them throwing dynamite on the mountain. And but I knew what it was. I knew of it. Yeah. And we went up this one. So Whistler's fucking huge. We were on Blackcomb, and we went to the top, and my buddy's like, "No, we're going there." And I'm like, dude, my buddy's like really into it, and he's gonna laugh when he hears this. But I call him the slave driver because he's just like one of those dudes that's like 7 a.m. to fucking 3:30. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I appreciate it because I get my money's worth of it from him. But we went to the fucking top, and it was a whiteout. You couldn't see shit, and I'm like, fuck you, Ben. I'm like screaming at him. I'm telling him this is just not enjoyable for me. I see the cracks of the dynamite sticks on the fucking ground, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, just get me to the fucking where I can see myself. And it was we got down obviously, but it was just one of those things where he's just dying laughing the whole time, and I'm just like, me and his wife were just cursing him out because we took Madeline up, and she's like, oh, I'm an okay skier. No, it took like 4 hours to get down from this the main easy trail down, but that's another story for another time. Yeah, definitely. Dude. So you planted vineyards?
I planted vineyards, and the other funny connection there is I also just retired from owning a hazardous tree removal business in the state of Maine. We're one of the few guys that are allowed to use dynamite.
Wait, hazardous tree? What does this mean?
That means climbing trees with chainsaws and ropes over people's homes.
But what do you mean? So hazardous meaning like if there was a bad storm, it would it cause danger to the house, or hazardous to where it's poisonous?
If the tree had fallen on your home and your power lines after a storm, or if it's hanging over your home and it's tangled in your power lines and your chimney and way out over all of your property, and is very technically difficult to rig out and wrestle these trees to the ground without destroying things or getting electrocuted. I've got all kinds of great scars to.
Is that the person who owns the properties? Is that their problem, or is that the state's problem?
No, it's their problem. And even if there's a tree that's leaning over your house and it's on your neighbor's property, it's your problem. It's not the neighbor's.
Really?
So I get paid all the time by the neighbors that have the tree threatening their home, even though the tree's not on their property. Tree can fall anywhere. Nobody's responsible for what the tree's going to do. So it's an interesting business to be in.
So when a tree falls on your house, is the person whose land it's on's fault, or
anywhere
really?
The state of Maine. I've been licensed arborist in the state of Maine. But so glorified landscaping. I have also for the last 10 years have been Maine's grape growing guru. Planted at least 50 vineyards all over the state of Maine. Consulted on half a dozen. My godparents, after I went to business school at Bentley College in Waltham, Massachusetts, just out of Boston for economics, international economics and finance. I told you Camden is the most beautiful place in the world. I went right back to my hometown to be an entrepreneur after my dad's seafood business that I was going to take over. International seafood business went out of business while I was in college. So I was going to international economics and finance school to take that to the next level, because I'd been working around the globe with him on this kind of stuff. We had a major shrimp, crab, and lobster packing, processing plant, and
lobster goes up there.
So after that didn't come to fruition, I came back to Maine and did a little home building before my godparents, who founded one of the first wineries and vineyards in the state of Maine, sold it, and they recommended me as manager to a outstanding business lady who was a part owner of Fidelity at the time, wanted a lifestyle
Fidelity
change.
like the
Fidelity Investments.
Wow.
Yeah, she was one of the 30 owners in that. Sold out for a massive chunk and bought this beautiful winery on the side of a mountain in Maine, transformed it, put a lot of love, a lot of investment into it. We tore out the 6-acre vineyard that my godfather planted and planted the latest and greatest French American hybrids that are. Yeah.
Did you have to because doesn't the land have to be a certain type to get a certain taste of the grape, or am I just making that up?
No, the terroir is what you're talking about, and it goes.
What is it called?
Terroir.
Okay.
And that goes deeper than just the earth. It's literally the microclimate around the place, how the winds, the clouds, the moisture levels.
That all goes into how the grape grows.
Of heat. Yeah, and of course then the soil and the microbiology in the soil and.
So how do you determine that? If it's is it just trial and error, or is it?
No, you make some educated decisions as far as sun exposure, samples. Dig in the ground. Grapes don't like wet feet. It needs to be well drained soil. They don't like clay that much. They prefer sand. I mean, I do a lot of stuff now out in Temecula wine country out here, and it's very exciting. And it's just like sand. And grapes thrive on that, and they irrigate them. In Maine, I do almost virtually no irrigating, but those soils are heavier. They retain moisture more often, and then we get more ample rain.
So you don't need to water them as much as.
No, we don't even water them in Maine. No irrigation in Maine.
When you say sand up in Temecula, do you mean instead of soil, they're growing off of sand?
Yeah, they're pretty much growing in sand out there.
And do you plant it in the ground and let it sprout?
Yep. Wow. They come as 1-year-old. They come as small, dead-looking twigs, 1-year-old grown, because they were cutting. You can propagate grapevines real easily. You take about a foot chunk, a few different internodes, stick a few underground, keep that moist and the top covered from the sun, and then the buds underground. No, I'm underground now and I'm wet. I'm gonna send out roots. So
is it kind of like a potato?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Like how potato sprouts like that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so you can propagate grapevines and
then you just cut one of those off and use it to plant another one.
Yep. And after a year, you grow that for a year, and then you bring it out to the vineyard and put it out there where it's going to thrive.
So does that deter? So soil versus sand? I know. I'm just interested because
yeah. I mean,
If you know what you're talking about.
I do.
Yeah. Which I could tell, yeah. So does soil versus sand, does that matter on if you're getting a green grape or a red grape or a purple grape?
Phenomenal question. No, it's going to be the grape species and variety that you decide to plant. Are you going to plant Pinot Noir or are you going to plant Chardonnay? Those are the decisions of the grape colors. Pinot Noir is going to be a red grape. Chardonnay is going to be a greenish white wine grape.
Are those the two bases you would say is off of that?
Grapes come in so many different colors, shapes, and sizes. I'm so excited and so proud to have just planted Maine's first commercial table grape growing operation. Huge victory. We, import all of our table grapes from Mexico and California, all the way across the country. Well, we've got this new Somerset seedless variety that is just outstanding. It's prolific. The grapes taste like strawberry. They're beautiful. They ripen early before they get any disease. Like 2 times as much production as any other grape. Yeah. It's heavenly. I've been begging people in the University of Maine, hey, look, this is a serious investment crop for farmers and diversification. And I finally just planted one that is going to create a whole new market and a whole new niche in Maine for seedless table grapes. So that doesn't have any seeds. Those are big, juicy grapes. Well, wine grapes want to be small, very skin concentrated. The tannins for making a nice red wine are contained in the skins. The color for a red wine is in the skins. So when you make a red wine, you're going to take the grapes, you're going to harvest them, you're going to put them in a big bin with your yeast, and you're going to mash them up for a couple weeks and extract the color and the tannins out of those skins. It's a big, slurry, nasty mess of fermenting bubbles. It looks crazy and wild. Whereas white grapes, you don't need the tannins and the color. Tannins give the wine some body. On the white grapes, you're just going to crush and press them the same day and extract that juice and start turning it into wine and throw away all the grape must and the pressings. You're not going to use that unless you're going to use it for grappa, in a secondary fermentation, making alcohol out of it. But the red grapes, it's your decision what you want to plant. And so red grapes are fermented a little differently to get the texture and the tannins out of them. And wine grapes, for red ones, they want to be really small. So they got a high ratio of skin compared to their flesh and are therefore more concentrated and can give you this ultra great wine that represents the terroir, the soil, the microclimate, the heat collection of the space that you're going to be growing in. Temecula is very special wine growing country. Maine, we're still on the pioneering front. I still say, 10, 12 years out, we're still pioneering grape growing in Maine with these new French-American hybrids.
Where else in the country, other than, I guess, the West Coast, is wine like a growing? Like, are there vineyards? Like, is I may sound... Excuse me,
talk away.
Tell me what you know. Martha's Vineyard, do they have, or is that just called Martha's Vineyard to be called Martha's Vineyard? Or?
Yeah, more so that, but geographically, you're kind of close to somewhere called Long Island in New York, which is
I guess
a grape growing mecca.
In East Hampton. So yeah. And I'm not even thinking about that when you pass fucking all these fields when we go out there. It's terrible.
And funny you said potatoes before because the north end of Long Island used to, potato growing country.
Yeah,
world
all
famous.
Farms out there.
And now it's all vineyard land, and it is epic and beautiful. I believe in super Aroostook County, what we call the county up in the top of Maine, to the county. It's like no man's land, but farmland galore. A lot of potatoes are growing up there. A lot of vodka potatoes are growing up there for some high quality, craft distillers in Maine too. But I think up there in Maine, we've also got some great opportunities to start large scale vineyards and hop farms too. We used to grow a lot of hops in Maine and out this way, but then for whatever reason in the industry, the big hop drying houses phased out and went back out Midwest, and there was nowhere to process your hops and dry them out to be used for beer, and it was just economies of scale went out west. They'd cheaper to ship and import. But anyway, there's a good movement growing hops and vineyards all over the Northeast.
Really?
And Long Island's a mecca. Finger Lakes is a mecca in the Northeast, at least Finger Lakes, New York, and Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and I'm helping make things, change the paradigm in Maine of growing Maine grapes instead of outsourcing the grapes. We truck in a lot of grape juice from New York, from California, and lots of Maine wineries make fruit wines, and they call all this Maine wine, but the grapes came from Oregon or Washington State, and we still, because it came in as juice or whole grapes, and they, did the whole winemaking process. It's Maine wine, but, Maine Vineyard Makers, one of my companies is changing the paradigm a little bit about growing Maine-grown grapes and making Maine-grown wine and making Maine champagne.
That's interesting, man.
Yeah,
that's good for you, man.
Stuff.
That's fucking awesome. I mean, you're only 34. You've done a lot so far. We haven't even gotten deep into this conversation. Though.
Yeah.
But we had some drinks before. And we were talking about how cool the can was.
Yes.
Shout out to Mike Hess with their Steel Beach American Craft Lagers. Well, we had some up. Give them a shout out. But it's actually pretty good. It's really so you were intrigued on how the can opened, which is, I mean, you opened it and I literally looked at you like, I looked at you like I was, I thought I was retarded, and I said, how the hell did this guy open this can? And then I'm like, oh, it's a Mike Hess, and I know they like kind of have some of their original like things that they do for their cans, but it was funny that you brought it up to me and it wasn't like just a nonchalant thing. But you said you were intrigued with like bottling of alcohol.
Yeah, being in the, we do some private winemaking, and I always appreciate different packaging of beverages. The wine, eventually the wine cardboard boxes came along. Now you find wine in cans, like your beer cans, and this top is wild. It's a beer top, and the whole top came off. It looked like a sardine can opener, and you just ripped the whole top off. Felt like Superman. And then
I wonder if they do that.
Chugging the good stuff.
Because my buddy brought this up to me about like the LaCroix, whatever the fuck you guys want to call it. But he's like, I never drink it out of the can because it feels too carbonated. So I wonder if it's to aerate the beer a little bit more so that you're not getting as much carbonation when you drink it. You don't feel maybe as bloated, I want to say, from all the carbonation. I don't know, though.
Good marketing mishmash talk. But either way, it's a different experience. You're looking at a beer. You're looking down the whole beer. You're looking into it. It's epic. Different, sets itself apart. And I want to buy this beer now that you've introduced me to this cool thing.
I think all their friends. I think all their tops are like that, if I'm not mistaken. I think
sardine can.
Yeah, it's just. I wonder if it's cheaper too. But what other? Is there anything else that has intrigued you about like different wine caps or bottles or anything like that? That caught you?
My buddy at Oyster River Wine Growers, who I got into the game with, Brian Smith, taught me a lot. Oyster River Wine Growers. He's now sending kegs of wine down to New York City. He's a real craft winery. Natural yeasts and his crazy ciders, wild man ciders from all these old heirloom varieties of grapes are, getting kegged and sent to all these, hip craft restaurants all over the Northeast. He's doing really great. So it's just a pioneering field. You go in the store these days and they're just making all these craft cocktails that now come in cans and accessible things to take on the boat, take on the hike.
Makes it easy.
And makes it easy. It's not glass. And they package it for the next generation of adventurers, and that's what
they want.
Instead
of carrying a fucking fifth of Jack Daniels, you just walk out there with a couple Cutwater spirits.
Yeah, right.
Shout out to my people at Cutwater. But have you seen those wine bottles that they're they're little glasses of wine?
Those little cups?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That guy was on Shark Tank. Did you ever see that episode?
I didn't see that episode.
Oh, he's a piece of work, dude. He is a piece of fucking work. He came on twice because he didn't want to make a deal the first time, and the one guy was like the wine fucking king or whatever.
Yeah.
But then he came back on and ended up making a deal with him and now he's like a bajillionaire. Just for fucking...
Attaboy.
Yeah, smart man, though, dude.
Well, hey, and so now I wanted to touch on your week. This week, you get a little banged up, or
yeah,
what?
I got in a car accident, dude. Fucking
tell
terrible.
me what the hell happened.
I hit a fucking front door of someone's car, man.
You tear it right off? Clear off?
Surprisingly, I got lucky.
Like in the movies?
I hit it, and he opened it. I don't even know which way he opened it, and it just like bended to the front of his car. And it just rode my car all the way. I got my estimate today. It was $6,000. Luckily, I mean, thank God for insurance because $500 is paying for $6,000 of work.
Yep.
And then, but I don't know what's gonna come of it. I'm just fucking. I don't know, man. I'm not. It's been a rough week. I got a nice Chevy Colorado though as my rental car, so I can't.
There you go.
2000. I think it's a 2017. The car's nice.
Yep.
Car's super nice. But I wanted to talk to you about something else, and I asked you before if we could talk about it, if we can rock and roll. So you said you have two boys.
That's true.
That are not your own, am I not mistaken? Or
no, one
you
is
have an 8-year-old?
My biological son. Yep, definitely Colton. Young gunner. And it's awesome. He's got a younger half-brother.
Okay.
Mason. it's spectacular. I'm out in California right now, putting together Slingshot Operation, flying helicopters,
so they're in
doing
Maine.
some wild stuff. They're in Maine,
okay,
and
cool.
They're in great hands. They've got another dad out there. Vinny, Mason's dad, is the man. Their mother is a humanitarian on the select board of the Camden, and does some amazing things all over the world. And so it's nice being out here going for gold to bring the kids out here and show them Southern California, to contribute to their mom's microcredit and water projects in Latin America, help send more bags of rice to Syrian refugee camps.
So is that what she's all about? Is just about
that's what she's all about. And then that's all the international stuff. And then she's on the select board of Camden, making waves, changing everything from school to the
nice. So when did you get out here?
I've been out here for about like 2 years. I came out here with a great former girlfriend who was wonderful, brought me out here, kind of help her, and I came out here kicking and screaming because I had 3 businesses, a helicopter tour company, a vineyard installation management, private winemaking, a hazardous tree removal company. Hillary, if I come out here, how am I going to make any money? But anyway, she said it was great. I came out here. Her mom was under the weather, so helping out. And so I started to try to replicate what I do in Maine, because I don't fly the helicopters. I specialize in sourcing the helicopter, sourcing the amazing places to take people, and then being the liaison and diplomat of talking them through, setting it up, making extraordinary surprises for their families, doing all kinds of wild stuff. And so I started doing that out here. We took Hillary and I took a 10-minute helicopter tour, checked the surf with Kurt from Wave Rider Helicopter
He's
Tours.
the owner.
He's the owner.
Okay.
Yep, owner and pilot. Out of Oceanside, 10-minute, check the surf. $100, no big deal. We're just having fun. We went up to check out a timeshare at the Wyndham on the Oceanside pier there, and took a helicopter ride. And Kurt and I just followed each other online for a little while. And I went back to Maine to run the businesses during the season. I was out here in the wintertime. And he just saw me doing some wild things with helicopters, taking people to wineries, breweries, islands, mountains, all kinds of stuff. He's like, hey, wanted to know some of the logistics of what I was doing as he was waiting for his charter license. So that was a huge thing. And, we got going back and forth. And eventually, he invited me out here to be a partner in his company to specialize in setting up these extraordinary helicopters. I hand dug a helipad out in Temecula wine country at a winery. We were running helicopter tours out of there last winter until we had some insurance snafus. Charter license didn't come in time. I spent a winter out here, living in an expedition hammock between Temecula and Oceanside, trying to get something going out here because I wanted a year-round business, and I wanted to stop climbing trees with chainsaws. I've got young boys. I'm all cut up. I've been electrocuted half a dozen times, falling out of trees. You're not going to make it. And so my helicopter tours in Maine and the vineyard stuff dries up in the winter, and I go climb trees with chainsaws in the ice and the snow. It's crazy. So where can I go that I can replicate what I'm delivering, extraordinary value and experiences to people? Okay, Kurt, I'm talking to you in SoCal. You need some help out there? Yeah. So really came out here for the winter last year, going hard. Didn't quite get our charter license, ran into insurance stuff, went back to Maine for 3 months to kind of recover financially from, going for gold and not making it out here. And then we signed with Polaris, and Polaris actually ended up contacting us, and we're adventure outfitters, which is everything I do in Maine. I was setting up, helicopters to horseback, helicopter to snowmobiles, four-wheelers, and now we've got a helicopter and slingshots here in Oceanside. We're going to chopper people out to do, sand dune stuff with razors. We're going to take in a Big Bear to do snowmobiles, and it's everything that I've ever dreamed of doing now on the big stage in Cali.
You guys should do a surf and snow same day.
Amen, brother. Yes. Surf and ski.
That's on my bucket list.
Yeah, Big Bear. Well, Matty D.
I know we gotta fucking make that happen.
Yeah,
but
done.
That's awesome, man. So you guys have the charter license now? Or
we do, as of just several days ago.
Okay. Yeah. And is that because you guys teamed up with Polaris, so they got to kick in gear for you guys a little bit more, or is it just luck of the draw that it all happened at?
Yeah, it just happened at the same time. And man, we're putting this Polaris business together faster than anybody ever has before. It's been on fire. But the charter license was 2 years coming. The FAA, God love them if they're listening. They're really, really slow and hard to deal with. And so 2 years of exhausting paperwork and agony and pushing them along to get that charter license. I've gone through the same stuff in in Maine with seaplane charter licenses and other people that I work with out there in these charter licenses. It's like pulling teeth. And so Kurt is a warrior. He's the man. He finally dragged this charter license out of the FAA with every ounce of his energy over 2 years. And we are beyond beside ourselves. We can chopper people out to Catalina Island and do eco tours and see the American bison out there. Take people out to the desert to go razoring. Take people skiing and surfing in the same day is one of the other things I'm so excited about.
You can't take somebody, like before you had this license, you couldn't take somebody on a trip. You can only take them for a ride and then come back to the same spot.
Exactly.
Now
so this is so different. We can take you to Las Vegas and drop you off there and say, have a nice night. Before, we could only pick you up, and that's limited to a tank of fuel. We got to bring you back to the same place we started. So, our tours were 45 minutes to an hour at the longest. We can put more fuel in and go longer, but the tours around here, we go down as far as San Diego, and now we're doing some longer ones up to Dana Point. But now we can take people to Dana Point. We can take people to Catalina Island, to Big Bear, to Palm Springs is epic, and we're so excited to be in a whole new ball game, being able to take people places and set up activities for them to do.
Do you have any other like toys that you guys want to bring in?
Oh my God, the timber sled, man! Have you seen what that is? That is a Polaris motocross machine that has a snowmobile track on the back of it and like one snowmobile ski on the front. So it's a motocross machine with a ski on the front and a snowmobile tread on the back to go out in the back country. And I've been for a long time working on pioneering helicopter skiing in the Northeast and pioneering helicopter sandboarding, going out crazy places and going sandboarding and having the helicopter service you out there. Maybe we go out there and then we use the razors to hit some different, sand peaks around in different areas. But this timber sled I'd never seen until we signed with Polaris. Yeah. And this thing is a badass, a track-driven motocross machine that I cannot wait to rip up.
Have you seen the guy that rides the wave with the dirt bike? He has like a...
I'll
have to pull it up after, but he has a... I think he has a fin on the front, or not a fin, but like a ski on the front of the bike, and then the back of the bike is like a fat tire, and it's almost like flaps that are like constantly going.
Those paddle.
Yeah, almost, and he just they pull him into a wave, and he just hits the fucking gas. And I wish I had a fucking like producer.
Righteous.
Stuff like that, but. Yeah, man, it's pretty cool. But you guys have a lot of fun toys. It seems. Yeah. It's obviously just building, and now it's just opened up so much more opportunity for you guys with the getting the charter license, and now you have these things. Because I mean, just from going on that ride for about 5 minutes and just hanging out around the Slingshot, just the possibilities. And I think you guys posted a picture today or the other day of them at the beach up in Oceanside.
Yeah.
Just that view, like if you're visiting and you get, I think you said what, it's 129 for 2 hours or something like that. Just phenomenal. Deal. And just driving the coast, getting lunch in San Diego and coming back up. That's 2 hours right there. You get a view of the most beautiful fucking coast in the world in my book.
Totally.
And it's a no-brainer, I think so.
And you're living in the outdoors. It's such a great open air experience. It's ungodly.
It's nice.
Love
man.
it.
But we were talking about some guys before. We were talking about Mr. Aubrey Marcus that you're a friend of.
Yes.
You said you read his book?
I've read all kinds of his stuff, and I just downloaded his license and the connection with Matty D, and he was telling me about his car accident. And Aubrey Marcus, one of my other favorite business guys who I've also listened to on my other favorite podcast, Tim Ferriss and Lewis Howes. And I think
Aubrey has his own podcast too.
He probably does now, like and on it supplements and stuff and workout gear. And he's got this really hot little ninja blonde girlfriend, Miss Two Jits or something like that. And I follow them both online, and they're a cute couple. But then I never knew it, and they sent me one day, hey, we're an open couple, and here's our guide to being an open couple. And sometimes you want to tear your heart out, and all the things associated with trying to do something, especially as success. That she's a international like taekwondo and karate champion.
His girl.
Okay. She's traveling around the world doing her own stuff. Aubrey's traveling around the world as a mega influencer and businessman. they might meet other people. I think maybe Mr. Tujits likes girls a little bit too. So the open relationship is maybe Aubrey having to share the fact that she's got some loving, connected emotion relationships with some other women too, navigating that, and maybe men and other men that you've got to share your kind of the girlfriend. He called it a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And so navigating those waters, they put together a little, manual, 100-page thing, and I've downloaded it. I haven't read it, but it fascinates me. I don't have a girlfriend right now, and I'm pretty nice, cool guy.
It's
guy, but
it's interesting though. It's like I think with obviously the dating game has definitely changed in the last like 2-3 years with Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, all these fucking dating apps. It's like, I don't like you, I'll go to the next one. That's how easy it is, and everyone gets FOMO. I think that's why like relationships are definitely like less and less and less. But everyone with the fucking, I think, has gone up and up and up. I think personally, depending on where you live, especially in a town like Pacific Beach and stuff like that. But I think our time is definitely going to see a lot more of those open relationships, because I think people are definitely becoming more independent than how they used to be codependent on each other.
Right.
And I just think that it's so much easier to access all different types of people now. So it's weird. I think it's going to change.
And almost in my mind, revert to the way things were back in Indian cultures and stuff. No woman was your own, and marriage was a thing that came about with Western society and men trying to control women.
Yeah.
As far as I've learned from a historical perspective and my own opinion on it. But calling a wife or man yours, it used to be multiple wives, and it wasn't just that you had multiple wives, but they might also interact with other guys. It was an open and free society. Nobody was anybody's. There's no such thing as marriage. That was a new thing. And so whereas we're all open, have more, free ranging, we're not just stuck in the little, hometown, that we can't go out and explore and meet other people and be open to other relationships and grow more.
It's interesting. I don't know if it is the way I perceive it. Like, I don't know if I'd want to be in a relationship with somebody that wasn't in an open relationship. Like, we don't have an open relationship.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't think it's as common, but I definitely think that now that people like him, who's such a huge influencer, is definitely making it something that's going to be looked at as more acceptable. Of course, in everybody's eyes, I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah, and more talked about, though. But at the end of the day, how do you feel when you're in something like that? I don't think it ends up feeling that great. It might be something cool for a little while, but I think still we're like the doves, where we want our mate.
Yeah, we want some. Yeah, that's a good point. It's nice to build
something with somebody, and I love psychology, and so I want to know this from a psychological standpoint as much as I want to know the psychology of what a prostitute might be thinking and where she got herself into this kind of stuff. I want to know about the relationship of how somebody wants to have all these multiple partners and feel really great, and that life is rewarding them, and that they're going to have a future partner, and psychologically where you fall in all of that stuff. My jury is out. Phenomenal conversation. I love Aubrey, and I love
it's an interesting topic, because I definitely think it's something that's it's just more open now. I think you can say, and people are like, not like, you're fucking crazy. People are like, oh, okay, it's not one of those things where people get all nuts and stuff like that. Like, oh my god,
taboo.
Like, fucking yeah, exactly. So I do a little thing before we end the segment.
Well, hold on. Speaking of taboo, do I get to talk with you about your dad? And
I didn't know if you wanted to go into that.
No, we had a really for those of you that we didn't start the podcast soon enough, Maddie D and I got into some good talks about how I've got a biological son and a non-biological son who I consider my own. I've raised him since the day he was born. I was in the hospital the day he was born. He's my son just as much as my son is a son to Mason's dad, Vinny. And so Maddie shared with me that he knows of his dad but doesn't know him, and has been kind of navigating the waters of possibly
meeting him. And it's just definitely been something that, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like my wheels are turning a little bit more. I'm getting older, and I don't want to miss out on that opportunity, but at the same time, I don't want to upset my dad who raised me. It's definitely I mean, you have to look at it from I've never met this person to a guy that's raised me from day one, and I always look at it from his standpoint where, it's definitely if I decide whatever decision I make, I don't want to hurt his feelings because obviously he's raised me since.
And so preface this with that we talked about that
Correct.
You had your mom remarried and
when I was
you were young,
I couldn't even
you've
remember.
had another dad.
Exactly.
You've had another dad, and then there's this biological dad that you don't know,
exactly,
and you don't, and so.
But I mean, like when you get older and stuff like that, there's so many questions that I guess you ask yourself, and I found out a really shitty way that my dad wasn't so that like is another stir up. I found out.
You're gonna tell it? Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna tell her. So I tell you after. But I found out in a shitty way, and I, it's definitely shaped who I am, and I think it's made me like a lot more independent and a lot harder to trust people. But I mean, I've changed my life at all. But it's just. I'm coming to a point where it's like I'm thinking about it more and more. When I was younger, I never thought about it. I was never like, I'm gonna go fucking meet my real dad. I never thought about it in that way, and it's just one of those things where I mean, I don't want to upset somebody who raised me, but at the same time, like we were talking about how I said like people have told me I have the. It's my own right. I mean, it's my blood, and
Yeah.
And I understand. They know it's your. I know it's my right. I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. But at the same time, it's like it's a harder decision to make than not make than just being like, oh yeah, just do it. It's people and I've had I had a girl on here actually, and we had like a long discussion about it. I guess similar with one of her brothers or something like that. Very similar situation, but it's a rough decision, man. And coming for some guy because I mean, so if I get this correct, so you have your biological son, who is at home, and then you have another stepson who you raise. Yep. But they're being raised by. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Go ahead. Their mother and their other dad. I stay at the house with them sometimes.
So is the other dad if you can preface it for me?
Yeah.
So who's the other dad?
The other dad is Vincent. Vinny is Mason, the younger kid's dad, and we've been best. I'm raising my sons with my best buddy. I tell Vinny I love him every time I walk out the door. He's with the kids. I call his phone on talk to the kids.
So you guys have like a good relationship.
Oh, great relationship. We help run the house. We've got all kinds of pets and rescue animals and 5 Bulgarian guys staying there as temporary seasonal workers.
Oh, really?
It's a great. We're in downtown Canton, and we can walk to the downtown landing. We've got a little dinghy. We rip around in there and go fishing and playing, and love Vinny, the other dad, and we're just, it's so great. We're teammates. Allison, their mom, is going to be buried on hollow ground some years. She is a humanitarian.
So is belief. Allison, she your biological son's mother?
Yeah, and just my best friend. I made a baby with my best friend.
Okay, that's what I was
phenomenal.
So
the day that I learned that, I was like, hey, Allison, you just started dating Vinny. It's been a little while. What do you say you get our son Colton, the little baby sibling? And she's like, well, now's probably a pretty good time to tell you I'm pregnant.
Oh, really?
And I was like, woohoo! Yes. My son gets a sibling. I don't have to bear the financial burden and can share the joy of raising a kid as a business guy. That I love business. I love creating value for people. I love adventuring. I'd love my child to have a sibling. As I grew up, in the jungles of Venezuela and Grenada with a younger brother that was just 15 months younger sister, older sister. Had an incredible time loving my siblings. And knew I wasn't about to make another child. And so when Allison was like, Vinny and I are pregnant, I was like, yes. Well, so since the day of conception, I was like, I can't wait for this child. He is blonde-haired, blue eyes, this kid, it looks like an angel from heaven, and it's so funny. I've got dark hair and a dark beard, and I'm holding this kid in the grocery store who looks like a little angel, and that knows I can't, that's seemingly your kid, but you guys don't look alike. And it's so awesome. And so I stay at the house. We're all one big happy family. I'm a huge family with all of their families.
That's outstanding.
And it's amazing.
That's great network. I mean, you are probably the only person I've ever met that has been in a situation like that and has obviously made the most of it. I didn't talk about yours at all, so I didn't want to touch the wrong buttons or anything like that. But I was like, something's not adding up in my head right now. I just want to like make sure I know so I get a better understanding of it. But that's like phenomenal, dude. Yeah. That that they're taken care of when you aren't there, and it's just you have that relief and not having that stress to like wear you down when you're away from home.
And the kids are out here. They're supporting me 110%. I'm not climbing trees with chainsaws and falling out of them. They know I'm doing this out here to be financially successful, to bring them out here, take us more places, do greater things, keep myself safe, and then do what I love doing. They know I love going in helicopters, creating great experiences for people, and having a great time doing it myself, too.
You're crushing it, man. You have a fantastic outlook on life, dude.
Yeah, hey, man, I couldn't be happier.
I don't know how you don't have a girlflirtend. You can get you like a crazy adventure. Adventure girl, dude. Cool, man. I'm flabbergasted with the enjoy that of the family that you have and you've put together, and that it's obviously successful, and it's just obviously working out for you, because 9 times out of 10 it does, or I'd say 9.9 times out of 10 it doesn't end up like that, and you are obviously making the best out of a great situation. So, but yeah, man, let's get into the fucking chat pack. But don't have a
chat pack.
What we do is we pick a couple questions. Do 1 or 2 each, and then we answer them, and then
it looks like those are zigzags, and we're about to roll one. But
so here we go. So if you were going to write a novel under a pen name, what would you choose as your pen name?
Well, Helicopter Huck is my stage name out here.
Okay.
In Cali, Matty D. Thomas Massey the Fourth is my legal name.
Where'd Huck come from?
Me to at birth. Huck came from one of my favorite former girlfriends that lived me, loved me, and I'm going out. I'm climbing trees with chainsaws every day. We're going out. We're planting vineyards. I'm working with it's like Huckleberry Finn.
Okay, that's the first thing that popped up.
Huckleberry Finn thing. And so that was a loving, endearing name she gave me probably about 5 years ago, Huck, Huck, and my family loved it. They started calling me Huck. Mason, my little stepson, who is basically my own too, he calls me exclusively Huck. So Dad comes from, my son Colton, and Mason calls me Huck. And I love it so much, and so that's my pen name, my stage name. And when I shake someone's hand and I say, "Hey, I'm Huck," a lot of people's eyes light up. They're like, "Whoa!" They can tell that I'm about from a different aura, and I've got a story behind it. Huck, that's probably not my real name, but I've engendered people calling me that because I'm extraordinary and do some super cool stuff and love people and touch people, and that's why I have these super great relationships and kick ass doing business and whatnot.
Dude.
Yeah, so
cool, man.
That's my pen name.
Nice, dude. Yeah. All right, you're up, brother. I don't have a pen. Okay. Yeah, I don't have a pen name, so I'm not gonna answer that.
Okay. If you could develop your own recreation area atop the flat roof of a 20-story city building, what would your elevated playground consist of?
What was it? Just on top of a building?
Top of a building. Yeah, your playground on top of a 20-story
Definitely
building.
Have a pool with a water slide, 100%. I'd probably have a swim-up bar. Yep. This is adult recreation. I'm not going, but there's going to be games. I'd have all like the essential backyard games that don't require too much athletic activity, but require enough athletic activity. I'd have a couple cabanas. There'd be some turf. I don't know why.
Helicopter landing.
Yeah, there'd be a helicopter landing pad right next to it, and then definitely free roaming dogs.
Nice.
Yeah, you can bring your dog up there and just let him fucking free roam. But yeah, it would just be like a fun rooftop cabana where it's not like fucking DJs blasting all the time and all that stuff. It'd be like just chillax. Maybe some acoustic on Saturdays or something like that. Something like that.
Styling.
Yeah, something
nice,
chill,
man.
something super chill.
Yeah,
something like that. All right,
Sweet.
Let's go. We'll go one more each. What would it take? That's not good. Sometimes I just throw them out because they're just shitty fucking. Let me see.
Like apples to apples here.
All right. If you could, If you could live in any house featured in a TV show, whose abode would you call home?
I would want to call some fucking giant mega yacht home, and call that a home with a helipad on it. I've been designing this with my son as we get out of karate class sometimes. I'm also in karate class. I'm a white belt. He's a yellow belt. But I'm not always at class. So, we're working on saving up for a mega yacht with a helipad. And we've got, a karate dojo on the inside, hot tubs out back. And a lot of solar panels. We're going to see if we can power it solar.
See if you could drop some jet skis out of the back.
Jet skis out of the back. We're pretty much thinking James Bond stuff. And I want a home that can move because I move around a lot. And, that's our plan.
You'll get it. You'll get something.
It's gonna be some crazy camo. We want some crazy blacked out camo pattern. That's our.
We saw a phenomenal boat. I forget where it was, but it was jet black, and it was a huge yacht. And I was like, that just looks so clean. Black on the water on a boat, because you always see white boats. Right. And it was just I wouldn't say it was jet black. It was like gunmetal gray. Oh my God, dude! I was like, that guy's a bad motherfucker. Yeah. You just know he's got. There's that boat that came in though. I think it was like a year or two ago. I think they came from New Zealand, and it had it was like a sailboat, but it had like the space in the middle.
Catamaran style.
Catamaran, but it was massive. It was like a massive catamaran, and they sailed it in from New Zealand. Supposedly it's like a well-known boat. I forget what the name of it was, but that boat was fucking sick.
Mean looking.
Yeah, we took a yacht out. We were in Austin last weekend. I don't know if you've ever been there, but on this lake called Lake Travis.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, if you go out there, go check out Lake Travis. Yeah, it was a good time. That was probably one of the best times I've had in a long time.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we'll go one more, man.
Well, yeah, one of the best times I've had on a podcast here. And
I appreciate it.
Yeah, my Virgin podcast. Many more to follow. Certainly invite me back. So, Maddie, if you could take a 2-day crash course in any field of endeavor, what would it be?
2-day crash course. Anything. I want to say how to make money. Just the
waterfalls of money.
Not even that, because that doesn't answer all the questions. It doesn't answer everything all the time. But I think just either a crash course. I want to say a crash course in being a doctor, but probably be a crash course in finance, because I have no recollection of that stuff. I have to go to my buddies for advice and what to do, and my mind is not interested in that, but I know that I need to have a little bit of a niche in it. So I wish I could have probably a 2-day crash course in that.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so some in the finance world, definitely.
Yeah.
But I mean, hopefully that'll come someday.
Yeah, and get your team. That's what I do too. I don't fly these helicopters, but I got them flying for me all over the place.
Exactly, man.
And so I leverage the team.
Yeah.
Finance. I'm the ideas guy. I'm even though I've got a finance degree, I don't want to use it.
Yeah.
I want to be out there, as you are, promoting, talking, engaging with people, being the creative personality person. And so, I give you lots of props for wanting to know that other back end too.
Yeah, just to know I'm not, I'm saying if anything ever comes of it, I'm not getting gypped. But I have people who I know I can trust with it, who are very good friends, that I wouldn't, if I needed to make a big financial decision or something like that, they're always like, don't do it this way, do it this way, trust me. And 9 times out of 10, it always works out in the best. But so probably finance, crash course in finance. Yeah. Yeah, man. But Huck, I'm glad we got to glad you got to do this and come down. You got to ride in your slingshot, dude. Yeah. It's been phenomenal. But throw all your shit. Let everybody know all your get in touch with you guys and do all that stuff.
Yeah, Wave Rider Helicopter Tours. We're at Oceanside at Wave Rider Helicopter Tours on IG, SoCal, Slingshot Adventures, and I'm a pretty wild guy too. Find me at Helicopter Huck 4, and connect with us. Connect with Matty D.
Follow him.
Live it up.
We're going to have to get one of those fucking helicopters. The only time I've been in helicopters in Afghanistan, so I've never been one of the ones that you guys have been in.
Well, we'll do it. You might hear them bombing at Camp Pendleton.
Exactly. I was up there
side, but let's get up in the air, Matty.
Yeah, we definitely got to, man. Well, Huck, I appreciate you coming on, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Till next time. Adios.
Ciao.